Oh, sweet girl. It's been a tough evening, hasn't it? Yeah, you eat up, honey. She earned her keep tonight. She caught a coyote in the yard. She's a great protector, this one. We have grandchildren and we have a small dog, and she'd happily give her life for them. The boreal forest is a huge wilderness that spans my country, Canada. A wilderness full of vast freshwater lakes with fish, stunning waterfowl, and the most beautiful vegetation. One could say that it is the last of the untamed wilderness to exist. But for as beautiful and untouched as it is, it can also be a very dangerous place. One that could take your life if you let it. Full of bears, wolves, coyotes, cougar, even elk, moose, and deer. The list goes on and on. Oh yes, and the insects, the mosquitoes. Oh, the mosquitoes. Do you have what it takes? Do you have what it takes to survive this wilderness? Do you have what it takes to save your own life? 'Cause if you don't, you have no business being there. Earlier this summer, late one evening, we had just finished up supper and we were sitting down in front of the TV as the sun was starting to go down. And the windows were open because it was absolutely beautiful out. And we could hear a ruckus. And what we heard was Nugent and Luna barking up a storm, and we could also hear what we thought were coyotes. And that we were correct. I ran out to see what was going on, and Papa followed behind me with the 22 because we weren't exactly sure what was going on. And when we got out here, we found Luna and Nugent had cornered a coyote underneath of this old hay trailer here. And we quickly realized that the standoff wasn't going to end well, and we didn't want Abby, our small dog, or our two dogs to get hurt. And I really hate when you have to put wildlife down like that, but unfortunately Papa had to put 2 shots into him, and then Luna took him by the neck and finished him off. That's their job. It is their job to protect the yard site. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality of living on the edge of the forestry. You get all kinds of animals coming in. Last week, we were walking, the kids and I were walking along the road to go over next door to Uncle Dana's place, and we've seen the hugest bear paws we've ever seen. So, I mean, there's a reason why our animals are here, and Luna did her job. She did what she was supposed to do, and that was with the help of Papa to take out that coyote. And then not long after that, we had a second attack, which was unfortunate. Nugent, we heard it coming from over this way, and we're certain it was probably a bear or maybe another coyote. But he ended up with a couple of lacerations and a puncture wound on his head. But he's okay. He's doing fine. We fixed him up between Dana and I. We went back and forth doing wound care on him and helped fixing him up, and he's doing well. We did not see the incident happen, but definitely an animal that had teeth that could put puncture wounds into his head. So that was actually 2 separate incidences that involved our animals this summer, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because we have the small dog now and the coyotes are looking for lunch. I don't know. Typically they don't come that close, but again, like I said, we need to be careful. We need to be careful for the dogs, and we also need to be careful because we have small grandchildren as well, and they do play out here. They play out in the yard and they enjoy themselves. It's the farm, right? So unfortunately we had those 2 incidents happen. Come see Mama. How are you doing there, buddy? How you doing? Oh, you're looking better. Let's take a good look at you. Come over here. Come over here. Let's take a good look at you. Okay. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, so that's a sore there. Hi. Yeah. You can move this. Okay, that one's closing up. Let's take a look here. You've got a puncture wound. You've got a little laceration there. So one there. And from what I can see, he has a puncture wound to the top of his head, which looks like it's now starting to close in. And then he has one small laceration on each side of his body, which is also starting to close in. But it does look like it needs some attention. So this is why when I pressure can, if I don't have a full canner, I will actually pressure can water so that we have sterile water on hand for things like this, for cleansing wounds. You never know. Always fill your pressure canner full. Even if you're pressure canning water, you never know when you might need it for something. Say a young grandbaby came and we needed sterile water for formula, it would be there. So this is one of the reasons why I never let a pressure canner go unless it's truly full. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go get some supplies together, and I'm just gonna swab those wounds and make sure that he's doing okay. He is limping on the front left leg. Now you can't really see it in the video I took, but I did lift it up and down. I'm in the way, unfortunately. I did lift it up and down, and he did not display any additional signs of pain. So I feel like that because I can move it and there's good range of motion in it, and he's not displaying the pain, I don't feel that it's broken in any way, shape, or form. There are no puncture wounds on the leg, so I just feel like maybe it's a bit strained and he just needs to rest it. So I'm gonna go collect my supplies, and I'm gonna take care of him. I'm a nurse. I can be a nurse for human beings, and I can also be a nurse for my animals. So I'll be right back. Also too, I want to mention, and we have had experience with this in the past, these pit bulls, they don't have, like, they're a very, very lean animal with like muscle and skin, and their skin is not very thick. And because they're all muscle and there's no subcutaneous tissue, you can try and suture it, but there's a great chance that if they're active dogs that they will end up splitting it open anyways, and we have had that experience. Nugent's daughter, Chloe, belongs to my stepson, Dana, and the first year he was out here where he had moved back during the summer when COVID hit, she was all brand new to the yard, and she had wandered off to the other end of the pasture with the other two dogs, and she got chased by a wolf. She's very lucky we found her, but she sustained a laceration kind of in a curve shape, and we did stitch it, but because there's so little subcutaneous tissue there to hold the stitches in place, they didn't hold, and so it tore apart, and it ends up creating way more of a mess because the edges are not quite as even, so it scars more and it creates more of a mess and probably a longer healing time than if you just leave those small little long lacerations alone. So I mean, we could try and stitch it. You'd have to stitch it like within the first 24 hours. Could try and stitch it, but the chances are the stitching won't hold because he doesn't have enough subcutaneous tissue. Also too, in addition to me cleansing it, the animals, with the exception of the puncture wound on his head, which you can't reach, animals just naturally cleanse their own wounds as well by licking them. And we're not going to just leave him alone to do that. We're definitely going to help. But I mean, they do a really good job of keeping their wounds clean as well. So I just wanted to clarify that you know, I don't feel like stitches would have held with as active as he is, and with the little fat tissue or subcutaneous tissue that he has not got. We just felt like it would be better for those small wounds to close up on their own. Okay, so I just want to show you a few of the dressing supplies I'm going to use for Nugent. Well, first of all, here's my sterile water. I canned up this water in January 9th of 22, and we have plenty of sterile water for cleansing wounds here. So yeah, if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't have anything right now. And it's very easy just to fill up your jars and put a lid on and throw it in your pressure canner, and you have it on hand for whatever you need. Also too, they're not sterile, but I have some gauze here, some 4x4 gauze, and you can get 4x4 gauze actually in large stacks pretty cheaply on Amazon, and I can leave a link for some in the description box down below. So we'll use this with the sterile water to cleanse the wound. And then you can also get Providone iodine swab sticks, or betadine or iodine sticks. You can also get those on Amazon. You'd be surprised all the different medical items that you can get. I have a list. I saved a list of a bunch of things that I'm working on putting into my emergency preparedness medical kits. So if you haven't started one, I would suggest you do, because you never ever know when you're going to need it. So I'll leave a link in the description box for this as well. And then this is just a standard like polysporin antibiotic ointment, and I'm going to just put that on after, just put a little layer on there. And I don't have any sterile Q-tips. You can get them on Amazon, but these are just standard Q-tips, and that's how I'll be putting the ointment on. So something else I just wanted to talk about is out here on the edge of the forestry. It is very, very difficult, especially when you're in a long weekend, to obtain veterinary services. We don't have one in the local town. I don't believe we ever did. I could be wrong. Local peeps, correct me if I'm wrong, but for all the 14 years that I've been here, there's never been a veterinarian in our local town. There has been in a town down south, and I do believe, well, there's one over this way and one over that way, but they're about an hour's drive, and they're not open on the weekends. So if you have issues with your animal, you may not be able to obtain those services that you need for them. So it is good, especially if you're rural, to have these items on hand so that you can, you know, tend to things like these until you can get to a vet to have them looked at. So that's another thing. I know people are probably going to say, well, why didn't you just take him to a vet? There's no vets. Like, you'd have to drive a good 3.5 hours one way to get to a vet on a long weekend. So that's what it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these wounds for Nugent. Clean this up. Mama clean it, okay? Yeah. Mama clean it. Just a minute. It's okay. All right. Take some. Good boy. Come here. Come here. Here. There. Okay. All right, so we just swabbed. Just gonna let that dry for a minute. See, this is what the iodine swabs look like. Now, typically for each wound you would use a new swab, but I only have one swab left, so we're just gonna let that dry for a minute. Just gonna dry around the wound here. It's okay, buddy. Look up for mama. Good boy. Okay. And we're just gonna put a little bit of that antibiotic ointment on it. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be much. And then I'm thinking that I'll have to wait until Papa gets home to do the other two. So might have to hold them down. There we go. All right. Good job, buddy. You did really good. Let's give you something to eat and drink, okay? We'll get the other two done when Papa gets home. I don't know that he'll lay on his side for me very well, so it'll probably take two of us. So we'll do that when he gets home. Oh, hey there, buddy. Look at you. You're looking really good today. Let's see. Let's see, honey. Oh, that wound is closing in. Yeah, the one on your front shoulder is starting to close in really nicely too. You look more spry today. Are you feeling better now? Yeah, you're doing really good. You're such a good guard dog. Hey, buddy. Yeah.